right, so today I'm going to be talking about Madam Web, the film that everybody collectively hated before the movie even came out. And you know what? I have to be honest. I learned a very long time ago that I'm never going to judge a movie based on the trailer. I've seen some fantastic trailers and go see the movie and the movie sucks and vice versa. So I never judge. So, and plus Dakota Johnson, let's be honest. I feel she's a great actress because boom, Suspiria. You see that up there? That's one of my favorite movies of the last decade. And with a great script and a great director, I know she's got phenomenal talent that's just going to blossom on the screen. Right. So I didn't judge too harshly on this film. As a matter of fact, I put a tweet out after some early reviews came out and I said, okay, is Madam Web that bad or did we collectively agree that it sucked before we saw it? And that's actually one of my most viral tweets. And I know I don't get a lot of action on Twitter, but again, I got a lot of responses. So I always withhold judgment before I see it, because I think that's the right thing to do as a critic. You want to be objective. So I saw what people were saying. I go, okay, let's see what happens. Because I remember the same thing was being said with Venom about 4 or 5 years ago. And I like Venom. It was silly and campy. I think I've seen it twice and that's it. So I went and saw Madam Web today. And and here are my thoughts. First and foremost, I want to say the cast. I do love the cast because, again, Dakota Johnson, I do love her. And again, Suspiria and some other films she's been in. And there's Adam Scott. Hey, we all know Adam Scott's great. He's funny with the right script. But then all of a sudden, oh, hey, there's Emma Roberts. I didn't know Emma Roberts was in this movie. There she is. Hey, there's Mike Epps. I didn't know Mike Epps was in this movie. There he is. And when you consider this cast has great comedic timing, if given the right script, it kind of opens a lot of opportunities for this movie to be fun and engaging and even maybe a little dark with some serious acting, dramatic pieces. You have all the elements there, chess pieces, so to speak, waiting to be used. And it wasn't. Let's continue. Second, I really love the idea of a killer-like Spider-Man. I mean, I thought that was very interesting when I saw that in the trailer. A guy with Spider-Man-like powers who's out to kill 3 girls. I mean, hell, if this had been directed correctly, this could have been a decent thriller. Because think about it, we haven't seen that yet. And I love horror, so that would have just been a different take on the superhero genre that I think was a missed opportunity. But I think that's a great idea that needs to be explored more. Better than what we got here. And I also love some of the direction in the film, especially when it comes to trying to explain these powers that Madam Web has as far as seeing the future. And it's not like a distant future. It's a future within a few seconds from happening. So the editing, the choices and the angles and some of the sequences were very inventive. And it helped me as a viewer who has no experience or knows nothing about Madam Web. I know she appeared in the Spider-Man animated series. I never saw the animated series because I was already in college, but I don't know nothing about her, but it was cool as someone coming in with a blank slate, seeing that and thinking, oh, that's how the powers work. Okay, I like that. It made sense in some parts. And last, I did like the chemistry between Adam Scott and Dakota Johnson. There was some freelance, maybe some ad-lib scenes that you can see that there was some sort of chemistry that they were taking advantage of. So I wish that could have been more explored. Again, Adam Scott was playing Ben Parker. That was pretty cool. He was an EMT. I didn't know that. But just to kind of see them banter at the beginning, I kind of chuckled. I was 30 minutes in and I was like, hey, this isn't so bad. And then let's get to the bad. Starting off with the bad, I want to be clear. This is not a superhero movie. I felt misled, to be honest, especially with the advertisements, because first and foremost, if you think about this film, it is not an action movie. It's a thriller, wannabe CW made for TV movie. You have a protagonist in Madam Web who her powers are to see the future, which is the immediate future, not the distant future. So she's learning how to harness these powers, where she got them, how her mother was part of this whole thing, and how to use them in the present time. If you think about it, that's not flying ability. That's not superhuman powers ability. That's not anything Daredevil ability. It's just seeing into the future. So when it comes to the action sequences, they're few and far between. Also, the girls, the 3 Spider Women that we've seen in the trailers and heavily advertised, no, that's a complete bait and switch and a fucking lie, to be honest, because you only see them. They're only in the film in those costumes. I shit you not, for 10 seconds. Minimum. And when you see them, they're visions of the future and what they're going to be, not what they're doing now. So you get to meet these girls before they get their superpowers. And that's another topic I'll get to in a bit. But what we've been seeing all over social media, that particular clip is a future sequence of what they're capable of doing. 10 seconds, no more than that. I honestly felt misled, especially when the trailer hinted that they were going to have a battle sequence like that. Next is the acting. The acting, for the most part in this film, is so wooden and so stale and void of life, you have to laugh at it. There are plenty of times in this movie where I laughed out loud because, one, the theater was empty, and I'm not laughing at what they said. I'm laughing about how they said it and how that was taken as a serious take. It's as if there was no script and they were just kind of making it up on the spot. There were a lot of scenes that felt ad-libbed because there was no punchline. There was like a misdirection on some points, and it just felt very stale and made up on the spot. And as far as the 3 Spider-Girls that we never really get to see become superheroes, I know they're great actresses. Sweeney Todd, not Sweeney Todd. What the hell is her name? Sydney Sweeney. I know she's great in Europa. She had a great hit in that rom-com that came out in December. The 2 other actresses, I don't know who they are, but I shit you not, their acting in this film was atrocious. And you know what? And I don't blame them. I blame the direction and the script. They were doing the best they could with what they were given, and they were given horrible fucking dialogue to read. It was very similar. You ever play a video game and you meet an NPC and they go, "Hey, Spider-Man, can you help me? My boyfriend's missing. Can you help me find him? Last time I saw him, he was messing with the demon gang. Can you help me?" That type of acting, that's exactly the way it was with these 3. Very stale. It just felt empty. And I didn't give a shit about them. I mean, they go in and give you a little bit of exposition about where they came from. Everybody more or less is an orphan, and they're giving their backstory, but they're telling us their backstory. We're not seeing it, so we never connected to them. I wish we would have seen some of the pain and hardships and trauma they went through as kids. That would have connected us as an audience to see that. But when they're just telling you how bad things were, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's some sequences in this film, especially when they go to a restaurant, that are so cringeworthy. I kid you not. There's a theater that I'm in, 200-seater. There's about maybe 8 of us in there. And when this sequence, it's a dance sequence in this restaurant that occurs with these 3 girls, I was cringing where I had to scoot in my seat because I was so embarrassed with what I was looking at. And again, I don't blame the actresses. I'm sure they're great. I know they're great. But again, with this script and what they were given, it was just horribly directed. And last, the villain. I'm going to go easy on this actor. What's his name? Tahir Ramin. I hope I'm saying his last name and his name correctly. But again, I'm not blaming this guy. But this is the worst villain I've ever seen in a comic book movie. Bad. It's bad. And I don't blame him. And here's why. I don't know who he pissed off. I don't know if the audio crew lost his tape when he was actually on set, the boom mics. I don't know if that audio source got scrambled by a magnet. But every line this guy reads or says in this movie is ADR. The camera's facing him and you can see his mouth moving, but the words coming out of his mouth aren't matching. To be honest, it was so distracting. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. Here's an example of what I mean and how bad the ADR was. "I had a dream last night that I was murdered. I must find them before they kill me. Do your job and find them. I am paying you a lot of money. Give me the spider. Don't be a fool like your mother. You will die. And I must find these spider girls before they will kill me." And you know what? It's a shame because, again, as I said, I love the concept of somebody with Spider-Man's powers who's a villain and trying to kill people. I think that would make for a fantastic movie. But to see that treated and mishandled in such an atrocious way is mind-boggling. Who are these executives at Sony who are involved in these pictures? I never saw Morbius because I heard so many bad things about it. But for those who've seen it, know it's terrible. When you look at the past 2 Venom movies, Venom 1 was okay, but Venom 2 was atrocious. Venom versus Carnage, all those movies, these are all shit movies. So whoever's involved in the executive level who thinks they know what they're doing, you should be fired because these are crap movies. You don't know what you're doing. None of you do. With a cast with this type of talent, from the dramatic level, the horror level, from the comedic level, and with the resumes they have, how can you blow this? How? When the crew at the Spider-Verse movies is knocking it out of the park. That team, whoever's owning and in charge of the Spider-Verse movies, needs to own the entire Spidey universe because these executives at Sony don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's a shame. It really is. I mean, like I said, if people are saying this is the worst movie of all time, it really isn't. It's just the potential this movie had. And to kind of like de-evolve to like early mid 2000s, this movie is comparable to like the cheesiness of Ghost Rider and those first 2 Fantastic Four movies. They're fun, they're silly, you don't take them seriously. It's on that type of level. So it's not the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. But when you consider the evolution we've had over the past 15 years in Marvel movies and DC movies, there's a certain expectation and tier that you should be producing movies at. And to go back 20 years to where we began, shame on you, man. Shame on you. Shame. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like the video and let me know what you think. Haha. Did you see Madam Webb? Do you plan on seeing Madam Webb? Let me know in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Till then, everybody, take care. Goodbye. Go Webb, go.